Welcome to the Blueprint Room. I'm acting as your chief architect today, and we are stepping into a highly industrial-grade structural explainer for one of the absolute most misunderstood zones in the Cambridge AS-level Afrikaans syllabus. I'm talking about the topic conversation, and specifically, supplying additional factual material. Now, we are going to treat your exam response exactly like a high-rise skyscraper. We're going to look at how to lay down an unshakable thesis foundation, erect load-bearing analytical arguments, and construct structural sentence connections that will survive the absolute most rigorous examiner stress testing out there. So put your hard hats on, let's get to work. To really understand how to build correctly, I want you to imagine two apprentice builders working on our site right now. First, we have builder Alex. Alex represents the descriptive foundation. Alex marches into the exam hall and just starts frantically stacking raw, heavy facts. We're talking unmortared bricks of Afrikaans vocabulary and purely memorized cultural data. But here's the problem. There is absolutely no analytical steel frame holding those facts together. A stiff breeze from the examiner, and it all falls over. Then, on the other side of the site, we have builder Sam. Sam decides to skip the heavy foundation entirely and just tries to put up shiny glass panels. You know, those fancy, flowery Afrikaans idioms. But Sam completely misses cementing the core foundational command words of the actual prompt. As your chief architect, I instantly reject both of these blueprints. Descriptive answers that just stack heavy facts without analysis? Rejected. Shiny decorative facades with zero structural integrity? Rejected. We need both the heavy facts and the steel frame. To get this right, our project briefing today is divided into 4 distinct construction phases. We'll start with the building regulations to establish our core principles. Then we move to erecting the frame, where we'll cover technical methodology. After that, we'll look at avoiding structural collapse by reviewing some urgent examiner warnings. And we'll finish up with the rebar stress test, focusing on high-level critical analysis. All right, let's clear the drafting table and open up Phase 1, the building regulations. When we talk about regulations, what examiners are fundamentally testing here isn't your ability to regurgitate a textbook. They are testing conceptual understanding. Listen, if you just memorize a rigid, inflexible list of facts about South African or Namibian culture, your building is going to completely shatter the moment the examiner gives you an unfamiliar context in the conversation prompt. It's too brittle. True conceptual understanding means mastering the underlying principles of the Afrikaans language and the specific topic so thoroughly that you can smoothly, almost effortlessly, transfer them to literally any unexpected scenario they throw your way. You need to be building with flexible, high-tensile steel here, not brittle cast iron. Let's look at the actual structural integrity bar on this chart. The data from principal examiner reports is incredibly clear. Supplying isolated factual knowledge, like, say, just dropping a random heavy environmental fact into your Afrikaans conversation without actually tying it to the main theme, keeps your mark potential hovering dangerously low, right around that 20 to 30% mark. It's dead weight. But look at the second bar. When you erect cross-topic connections, for example, when you actively link that environmental fact to a specific economic consequence using precise Afrikaans vocabulary, your potential instantly shoots past 80%. Building those analytical cross-topic bridges acts as a load-bearing column for your entire argument. It's the secret to those top grades. With those core regulations understood, we are ready for Phase 2, erecting the frame. This is all about our technical methodology. So if we look back at our apprentices, Alex and Sam at the drafting board right now, they're having a massive debate over the ironwork. They're trying to construct a model response paragraph. Alex is stubbornly trying to fill the whole paragraph with a massive, solid cement block of terminology definitions. But Sam is actually arguing that without a hollow space for a dynamic counter-argument, the structure has zero flexibility to hit the top band scores. And Sam is right on the money there, but we need a system to make it happen. To secure those critical method marks, you have to use this 5-step structural framework. Step 1, deconstruct the question. Find the exact command stress points. Step 2, extract relevant data from your mental reservoir. Step 3, select your analytical framework. Decide exactly how you're going to argue this point. Step 4, execute with flawless notation, meaning perfect Afrikaans grammar and syntax. And Step 5, verify the results. Does your evidence actually support the main column? Rivet your data directly to the syllabus command words using this exact process. Now, time is your ultimate constraint on site. The construction deadline clock is always ticking. If we map this 5-step processing onto a 10-minute window to frame a specific conversational argument, it looks exactly like this. Minute 1, you identify the key syllabus elements and command words. You're surveying the land before you dig. Minute 3, you apply the relevant principles and select your factual material. Minute 6, you execute the analysis, laying down your sentences. And minute 9, you verify, actively checking for grammatical faults and ensuring you're maintaining the correct conversational format. If you follow this exact sequential timeline during the exam, you ensure absolute structural integrity under immense time pressure. Let's move into phase 3. It's time for a site safety audit. We need to look at avoiding structural collapse based on direct warnings from the examiners themselves. Okay, let's see how our apprentices actually fail in real high-pressure exam conditions. Imagine the prompt is about youth unemployment. Builder Alex goes first. He provides a highly detailed, factually accurate paragraph entirely in Afrikaans. Sounds good, right? Except he completely misses the prompt's specific angle, which asked for the technological impact on youth unemployment. His massive block of facts is entirely irrelevant to the site. It's just sitting there. Meanwhile, Builder Sam writes this beautifully flowing paragraph about how incredibly sad unemployment is, using highly advanced idioms, but supplies absolutely zero additional factual material to back it up. In both of these cases, the examiner simply taps the structure with their red pen and it crumbles to dust. Over the years, senior examiners have isolated exactly 3 major structural failures that repeatedly, almost predictably, compromise student blueprints. Here is the inspection report. These are the top 3 failures. First up, forgetting the proper required format. In a topic conversation, there is a specific expected conversational register. If you switch gears and start speaking or writing like it's a rigid, formal academic essay, you lose format marks instantly. Second, failing to verify presentation standards. This means letting your grammatical joints rust. Using incorrect verb orders or entirely the wrong tense in Afrikaans weakens the whole frame. But the absolute most catastrophic failure is the third one, supplying generic, prefabricated answers that completely ignore the provided context. Memorizing a paragraph at home and just dumping it into the exam hall regardless of the prompt is literally like trying to bolt a submarine hatch onto a high-rise office window. It simply doesn't fit, it makes no sense, and examiners will penalize it heavily. So our builders hit an unexpected structural roadblock mid-paragraph. Their evidence beam is failing to latch onto the main thesis column. How do we fix it? Well, if there is one primary structural rule you must weld into your mind today, it is this direct mandate from the principal examiner report: always link every point to the given scenario. To do this perfectly, I'm giving you a structural blueprint template. It's called the Peel methodology. Point, evidence, evaluation, link. First, the point. State the challenge clearly. Second, the evidence. Slide in that factual beam you prepared. Third, the evaluation. Explain exactly why this fact matters to the argument. And finally, the link. This is the rivet. You weld it all directly back to the specific scenario provided in the examiner's prompt. That is how you build a load-bearing block. Site inspection. All right, before we pour the final layer of text concrete and secure this high-scoring paragraph framework, make sure your personal construction line is reinforced. Hit subscribe to Ace the Exams at Ace the Exams right now and turn on all notifications to receive our weekly structural grade upgrades. Whether you're laying an IGCSE foundation or setting up an A-level skyscraper like we are today, this channel is your primary grid. Make sure you are practicing past paper questions to solidify these frameworks, really testing your verb orders before stepping on to the real exam site. Okay, inspection passed. Let's enter phase 4, the final phase. This is the rebar stress test, focusing on high-level critical analysis. To hit the top band of the mark scheme, your structure has to transcend basic descriptive levels and actively push into the critical evaluative zone of the framework. Look at this breakdown. A descriptive approach merely points at facts. An analytical approach breaks those facts down. But an evaluative approach, a top-tier blueprint, doesn't just describe the numbers. It isolates the limitation of the data. It questions the assumption being made. It evaluates the quality of the evidence itself. That evaluative level is the high-tensile rebar that holds the skyscraper up in a storm. Now it's time for a live site safety audit. I want you to look at this deconstruct, solve, evaluate matrix. Imagine a 60-second countdown timer ticking on the screen. What is the single most high-yielding core metric here? It's all about action and benefit. First, identify limitations and assumptions. Why? Because it proves to the examiner you have critical evaluation skills. Next, question alternative perspectives. This introduces a well-reasoned counter-argument into your Afrikaans conversation, showing your building can sway in the wind without snapping. And finally, justify your final recommendations. You aren't just presenting facts, you're weighing them and making a concluding judgment. That justification is the exact mechanism that secures those higher-order, top-scoring marks.
So as you sit back and look at your own exam blueprints, you have to continuously stress test your own work. Ask yourself, is your argument steel frame actually strong enough to support the weight of alternative interpretations? When the examiner throws a counter-argument at you in real time, does your conversational structure collapse? Or does it stand completely firm because you have already anticipated those counterweights using fluent, flexible Afrikaans?
As we close out this masterclass, I want to leave you with one final architectural challenge. How will you engineer your next past paper answer to guarantee the unshakable integrity of your evaluative method marks? Are you just going to drop heavy, disorganized facts like Builder Alex? Or are you going to use this strict procedural framework to lock every single piece of evidence into a critically evaluated, structurally flawless conversation?